Hi everybody, it's Tom from Vehicle Visionary. Today I'm at Holmes Honda and this is the 2023 Honda Pilot. This is the touring trim level we're going to be looking at today, and we are going to try to answer the question, is this the best bang for the buck based on trim levels? And so depending on your situation, well, if you're looking for a 3-row SUV, this might be a really good place to start. Obviously fully redesigned for 2023. If you're curious, the exterior color on this model is Sonic Gray. It has a jet black interior and it has a panoramic sunroof. As far as overall size goes, 3.4 inches from bumper to bumper is going to be the increase in overall length. If you want to look at wheelbase, we're looking at the center of one tire to the center of the other tire, and that's always going to be the case with wheelbase. If you don't believe me, just Google it, just search it. But that's going to be 2.8 inches, 1.1 to 1.2 inches of increase on the front. And for the rear, we're talking about width now, 1.1 to 1.2 inches of increased width to 1.4 to 1.5 with the rear of the Pilot. And here on the touring trim level, you will have that chrome brow right there. Some of you like it, some of you don't. Tell me where you fall in that particular category. The honeycomb look with the upper and the lower grills. And LED lighting pretty much everywhere you look. The daytime running lights, the nice fog lights down there. We're gonna have our headlights here with a very nice new look. A little more slender, a little more elongated. And even though you have a more boxy look here, you're still going to have some decent gas mileage numbers, due in part to the fact that while we are more squared off for 2023, we do have the front air curtain where you can see that air is flowing through the front end. And you can go front wheel drive or all wheel drive depending on trim level. In this particular case, with the touring trim level that we're looking at today, it is front wheel drive, but all wheel drive is available. All-wheel drive is standard on the Trail Sport and the Elite models. And in this particular case, we have a 255 on the width tire. The sidewall size is going to be 50, wrapped around a 20-inch wheel. The running boards right there, or side steps, I should say, make it a little bit easier to get in and out, although I don't quite think that's required. We will have the body-colored mirror caps. Yes, the turn signal indicators are built in. These are power adjustable heated side view mirrors. Here's what we have with our remote. Yes, remote start is there. Among other features, the roof rails up there. Shark fin that has the body color. That would probably look really good in gloss black, but that's what we have here. And we'll finish things off with a nice look with the taillights and the Pilot logo back there. And this tells you right here that yes, you do have the feature for the hands-free tailgate or lift gate, depending on what you want to call that. As we take a look into the interior, we will see a couple of the goodies you have here. The cargo net you're going to have inside of that cargo net. Well, there's your first aid kit that can actually Velcro to the floor if you wanted to. That's what those two little strips are for down there. And as far as functionality goes, we do have the 12-volt power outlet right here. You can see that in a multitude of ways, you have something that will really help back here with the USB ports, one on each side. That's actually for the third row passengers, but you could also lay that row flat and use that in a couple of different ways. And the button right here, this is the walk away feature. I'm gonna push that just to demonstrate how that works. You heard the beep. So what happens if you want to use that feature, you have a multitude of options here as far as what you can do. You push that button, you can gather up whatever you want to out of the rear area here, and then all you have to do is walk away. That's why it's called the walk away feature. It's going to close automatically. Now, there are some big changes under the hood and behind the engine, between the flywheel and the engine. Let's talk about what those are. While the size of the engine, still a 3.5 liter V6, is here, it has changed for 2023. Instead of making 280 horsepower, it is now making 285 horsepower. And before any of you correction Nazis say, no, it's 280, make sure you do your research. The torque numbers do remain the same at 262 pounds-feet. And there is a specifically tuned for the Pilot 10-speed automatic transmission. Gone is the 9-speed. So those are your lone options in those areas. And let's take a look at what we have in the way of MPGs. 19 city, 27 highway, 22 combined, and 4.5 gallons of gas is what Honda says you should use per every 100 miles you drive. Towing capacity still maxes out at 5,000 pounds, but you will find an increase in cargo capacity. 18.6 cubic feet up to 86.5, up to 87 cubic feet. You still have space underneath the floor. The floor is still two-sided, so you have your carpeted side and your plastic side underneath the cover right here. You do have the cargo cover that can be installed. I'm not going to worry about that right now because I'm going to show you how much space the rear seat passengers have. And before we hop into the interior, I did want to show you, just in case you didn't know, how to lower these rear seats. A little bit challenging to do one-handed, but not too bad. If I can do that one-handed, you can definitely make that work easily when you have two hands free. And let's see, are my hands long enough? My arms long enough, not my hands. I don't have long hands, I have long arms, where I can reach up here and show you how to put everything back in place, or how far back that seat actually can recline. And taking a look in real quick through the door here in the rear, you are still going to see the privacy shades. Nothing new for the Pilot, but it is still here. The upper and the lower door bins. You can have a couple of cup holder options right there. Plenty of space here, and the nice comfortable armrest. We'll do the armrest test. Yep, I'd say that's pretty comfortable. And obviously you can maximize your cargo capacity by pulling on that lever. And even though the front seat is way too far back, I don't think I can get that down all the way, but you know that will fold flat. But in a way, that kind of helps me out because I don't have to worry about it being difficult to put that seat back in place. And all we're going to do to get into the back seat is push that button. The seat automatically moves forward. I like that. It makes it nice and easy here. Now keep in mind, there's something to see here. See where that seat is right now? It's on a track. It can move back and forth. So I'm going to pull it all the way back just to show the minimized space back here. It's not bad, actually. I like that. So there's quite a bit of space. Obviously, everybody's going to have their air conditioning vents. We saw that earlier. They're right here. Cup holders, again, for the rear seat passengers. And you can have seating for as many as 8 people within the interior. And there is a good view of the panoramic sunroof. But there is one nice little trick that we have here that you might not know about. And by the way, before I show you that trick, if somebody forgets to let someone out of the rear seating area, well, it's pretty easy to just push that button and then they can get right out. Now you may notice a little bit of a difference here compared to what you just saw. Yeah, I did set this seat back up in place right here. So that's how we have our 8 passenger seating. 2 in the front, 3 here in this area, and then you can have 3 more in the rear. As you can see, we have 3 different seating or seat belts there. So you know you have seating for 3 people, a total of 8. But what I really wanted to show you right here is that when we pull on this and lower this area, let me change my position here, then you can come up here and pull right here. I cannot do this one-handed, but this, just like with the Honda Odyssey, which we've had for several years, you can remove this seat. And there is your proof, in case you didn't believe me. Yes, you can remove that seat, and I'm not going to do it, but you can take that middle row seat and stow it in that area under the floor in the rear cargo area. And we're not finished yet in the middle row area. You do have the rear seat pockets right here and the dual air conditioning vents on the rear of the center console. So we do have tri-zone climate control. As you can see, you can control everything here. I'm not going to turn that up for long, but you can obviously control the temperature as well. Turn that on and or off, set it to auto. And there are 2 USB ports back here. Should there be 3? Yeah, there really should, because you have seating for 3 in this middle row area. And in case you were curious about what middle row seat passengers can potentially see with the panoramic sunroof, well, now you know. Now looking in through the passenger side front door, pretty much the same thing we saw on the rear, but we do have the power adjustable seats for the driver and the passenger. Both are heated only. Kind of disappointing because it's getting warm here in Northwest Louisiana now, and we're going to be that way for a long time to come, for months. Won't need heated seats, that's for sure. But you do have some gloss black throughout as far as the trim on the door goes. Also around the air conditioning vents, some nice space up here. that can be used in a multitude of ways. You do have the glove box down here, nothing unusual, but just to show you what is there. And we're also going to have, like I said, tri-zone climate control. So we have dual zone here in the front, and you can sync those together if you want to. I'm going to turn the fan speed all the way down. There's your heated seat function, but as you can see, that's all you have. But it is what it is. I can't really do anything to fix that, can I? 2 more USB connection options there, 12 volt, and there is the wireless charging pad and the push button shifter that gets a variation of reactions from people. Which one are you? Probably don't have to tell you too much about what is right here as far as your power parking brake, brake hold. You can change your driving modes. You can turn off the auto stop start feature or idle stop. Cup holders there, and the multitasking lid for the center console because it's an armrest and a lid, and quite a bit of space in there. So much that you can put trash in there if you want to, I guess. I'll get that out of the way so you don't have to worry about seeing that. But you can see all of the space in there, quite a bit. And the upper console, you can control the shade for the sunroof. Let's see if we can get that to come up, the panoramic sunroof shade. I told you there was a shade there that will actually have some benefit in just a little while when we look at the screen, the infotainment screen and the instrument cluster. But obviously you control the tilt and sliding function of that sunroof up there, the front portion. And there is the conversation mirror, sunglass holder there as well. And we'll take a quick look here at the vanity mirror. It has the light and all that good stuff. How far back does the visor go? I'd say that's likely far enough to take care of business. If the passenger is sitting too far back, well, maybe not so much, but I think for the average person, that's probably going to be just fine. And by the way, just a little something to show you here in case you are curious. You do have capitalist fuel fill, and you notice how I just walked up and opened that gas door. Well, for peace of mind, let me just show you. You probably heard it lock right there. When you lock the vehicle, you lock the gas door in addition to all the other doors on the vehicle. And one thing I didn't talk about earlier, these are manually folding side view mirrors. There's how you manually fold side view mirrors. Somebody actually asked about that in a comment one time on one of these videos. I talked about the manually folding side view mirrors but did not demonstrate them, and they said you didn't show us how to fold them. Yes, those kinds of people are driving on the roads with you. I know, it is a little scary, isn't it? Okay. Back to the serious part of the video. Yes, you do have seat memory, but only here on the driver's side. And when you have a vehicle that is north of $40,000, which in this day and age is not that bad, I think you should still have seat memory on the passenger side as well. Some people care about that, some people don't. Just my thoughts on it. I don't likely need to tell you too much about what's on the driver's side door panel. And if you want to attempt a front-wheel drive burnout, since this Pilot is front-wheel drive, you can turn traction control off and do that. We're not going to do that in today's video because Holmes Honda might not be very happy with me. You can open and close your power rear door right there. You can drop the lever right here to change the positioning of the tilt and telescopically adjustable steering wheel. And now we'll listen. And now we'll watch and demonstrate and show you what we have here as far as the new digital instrument cluster goes. You can see that if you don't want to know, or if you do want to know who is not wearing their seatbelt, well, you can see that over there on the left-hand side. You can hit the home button, and then you can use the scroll wheel right here to go through quite a bit of information depending on what you want to know about with the vehicle. A lot of details there. A nice look. Simple but effective, that's for sure. And your steering wheel mounted controls, you pretty much know what's over there on the left-hand side. There's your adaptive cruise control functionality. And over here with the lever right here, you can control the lighting around the vehicle, control the fog lights, turn those on and off, and you can use your blinkers right here with that lever. That's probably something that some of you know about and some of you don't, at least based on the way that you drive. I'm not going to do a tutorial on that today, though. But we do have what I think a lot of you do use right here because you actually don't want to have to worry about any issues with rain, so you use your windshield wipers, front and rear. Kind of interesting. Use that, but not that. At least not as much. And kudos to those of you who do. Okay, again, back to the serious part. The 9-inch touchscreen right here, very effective, very nice, a very modern look. I do have to say that I like the fact that the angle has changed. It's no longer angled into the dashboard like it used to be, so you're going to reduce glare that way. That's good. You have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility. You do have the Bose 12-speaker premium audio system, and yes, you do have built-in navigation, but if you want to use Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and whatever the case is that you want to use, whatever your favorite app is, well, you have those options as well. And so everything here, very nice, very easy to use. We'll go into vehicle settings just to show you what is here. You can control all sorts of things here. If you go back there and your power tailgate does not open, guess what? You can come right here. And likely that's going to be the issue. That's how you're going to fix that. Most likely, we'll say. But I do like what Honda has done here. Some very nice graphics, just a new look for 2023. And then you can go in and change your settings. And we do still have the multi-view rear view camera. That is not something that has changed in this particular case, but depending on what trim level you have for your Pilot, well, guess what? There are a lot of new camera angles, including the trail cam for the Pilot Trail Sport, if I can get my tongue untwisted. And you also have the forward-facing camera with a camera washer, depending on trim level again. So ultimately, that's what we have as far as what it looks like and the functionality to a large degree. We didn't cover everything, so there is a lot more here. But to keep from making the video too long, we won't talk about every little nook and cranny. But let's get out on the road and talk about what it's like to drive this Pilot. And one last little thing before we hit the road, I did want to give you the best sampling of the Bose 12-speaker premium audio that you have here with this Pilot. So let's listen. Okay, we don't want to make that too long, but hopefully that sampling was good enough to help out. Okay, we're out on the road for our test drive, and one thing I did want to mention that I failed to mention earlier, driving modes. What exactly are they? Well, you have normal, econ, snow, tow, and sport. And so what I wanted to do here is get out on the road. This is a really rough road that we're on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get in front of this 18-wheeler here at a safe distance. And then I'm going to change over into the right-hand lane because, well, that's going to be the rougher of the two. I'm going to give you a road noise test. And I know there are going to likely be people, or at least one person that says, oh, but you need a decibel meter to be able to measure that. No, actually you don't. That's kind of useless. In fact, it's completely useless where this kind of thing is concerned. Let me let you listen for a few seconds, and then I'll explain why I say that I do. I am doing 65 miles per hour. So considering the fact that this road is very rough, it's typically very noisy. Depending on the vehicle that you drive, I think that the Pilot does a great job of canceling out a lot of road noise and wind noise. Now, the reason I say the decibel meter is useless is because the decibel meter just gives you a number. Different people are going to have varying opinions as to what is good and what is not based on what they hear themselves. A decibel meter cannot give you that information. So one person might hop in here and ride with me and say, wow, you're not kidding. There is very minimal road noise and wind noise. Someone else may say, well, actually, it's more than I expected. It just depends on you, what you're used to, just different preferences. There's a lot of different variations that can go into why somebody would say they think it's too much, too little, or just right. As far as the overall driving experience goes, I can't say that I can tell a big difference between the previous 3.5-liter V6 that was under the hood of the last generation of the Pilot and what we have here. Maybe a little bit smoother in how it runs, but not much. But one way or another, obviously there are changes there. But a very comfortable ride quality, easy to get around. It's a very maneuverable vehicle for its size. I think it would still do very well in big city driving. It's not a full-size SUV, so you still have that advantage, but it's very practical at the same time. Obviously, as I've shown you, you have seating for 8 people here. That's quite a bit, and still quite a bit of space for passengers, for cargo. The seating itself is nice and comfortable. The ride quality is comfortable, and the technology is easy to use. That's one thing that I like to mention, because I know there's still quite a few people out there who have held off for a long time waiting to get a new vehicle because they're saying, man, I just don't want to deal with all that new technology, or just whatever the case is. Well, you don't have to worry about that with Honda. Very easy to use, and whether or not you pair your smartphone really doesn't matter. It's still a very easy system to use. In fact, I'll say this, if you can use your phone, you can use the technology here that Honda has. But overall, I have to say I'm impressed with what Honda has done as far as the changes they've made for the 2023 version of the Honda Pilot. Is there something missing? Tell me what your thoughts are down in the comments section. So now that I've finished talking about as much as I possibly can, it's your turn, or maybe your turn to type, or whatever you're going to do. Leave a comment, in other words. Tell me what you think. Is the 2023 Honda Pilot Touring the best bang for the buck when it comes to this fully redesigned Pilot? I'm always curious to see what your feedback is and why you answered the way that you did. I've got to say a special thanks to my friends here at Holmes Honda for loaning me this 23 Pilot for the day. And a special thanks to each and every one of you for being kind enough to give me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn about other vehicles you may wish to consider purchasing, check out the video that's on the screen right now, and I'll see you there.